All right, folks, what is going on? This is episode 578 of the First and Frame Rate Show. I am VF Baller. Over here, we talk about Georgia Southern and Atlanta Falcons football. More Atlanta Falcons stuff because, now we know the schedule has just been released. And full disclosure, I have not looked at it yet. The only thing I know now is what you see on the screen, week 1 and week 2. So I don't know anything. So we're going to talk about this on the fly, give you my pretty much on the fly reaction to what teams that we're going to be playing this season. I think it's a really exciting time because of the fact that we, finally get to know what the matchups are, what Desmond Ridder's going to be looking at, what the defense, our new defense, going to be looking at, what the coaches, what they're going to have the game plan for. It just gives us really good conversation and content to what to look out for going through training camp, going through preseason, and now, once the regular season starts. It's going to be really, really interesting. So if this is your first time here, welcome. I could be found on YouTube and Rumble. I'm also on a Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, and Google Podcasts. So if you want to listen to the podcast at your leisure, those avenues are there. Be your own program manager and listen to the show whenever you are comfortable or got time to do so. I really appreciate it if you would go over there and follow me on one of those podcast avenues. I really appreciate it. And it's good to do that on top of subscribing to YouTube or Rumble because sometimes one of these avenues just don't have the podcast up at the same time. I try to do this around 9 p.m. Eastern every day, Monday through Friday, but sometimes it just don't happen. So it's just technology. It's weird like that. Also, I could be found on Twitter at VF Baller, where you can find me there, where I talk about things that don't make it to the show. And the hub of the podcast is on firstandframerates.com. Firstandframerates.com. You can go over there and check out the website, and you can support me over there as well. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. The Falcons are finally knowing what I'm pretty sure the players and the coaches kind of knew already. They just couldn't say anything. But the fans, if anything, we know what we're going to be going up against throughout the season. And it's going to be really interesting because now, and actually exciting because our first game of the season, we're going up against the number 1 overall pick in this past draft. I believe Bryce Young is going to be the starter. I know some people may not think so, but I think Bryce Young is going to be the starter, and we're going to be going up against him and the defense of the Carolina Panthers. Now, I just did a video. Well, I did a podcast episode on the Carolina Panthers on what to look out for, and this team looks pretty respectable. I'm actually looking out for that team compared to the other 2 teams that are in the NFC South. The Panthers look pretty formidable. If Bryce Young gets a good grasp on the game, or he's fairly decent, there could be a problem against our Falcons. So it's good to get what I feel is the biggest threat to us in the NFC South first, so we can get a leg up on them in the first game of the season. We're going to be playing them at home, so that's absolutely awesome. So mark your calendars. First game of the regular season is September 10th at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, so that's going to be awesome. Week 2, we're going to be playing the Green Bay Packers. We're going to see Jordan Love for the first time. So 2 quarterbacks that we don't really know about too much. Jordan Love has played some football in the NFL, but he actually being QB1 now, we get to see what kind of quarterback we're going to be playing. We're going to find out what type of quarterback we're going to be going up against once we play them. They also come down to Mercedes-Benz. Green Bay is not necessarily I'm not going to say they're not a formidable team. Obviously they're missing Aaron Rodgers, but they're still a formidable team. So I expect Green Bay to give us, some type of a fight, so that's going to be a pretty good matchup for us as well. Green Bay's always had a respectable team for decades. So, I mean, even from, the Brett Favre days up, now with the Aaron Rodgers and now Jordan Love. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how we stack up against them. We should have the advantage because we're home. Now, when you look at the next couple of teams right here, we have the Detroit Lions. We're going to Detroit, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So it looks like we're going to be playing the NFC North and the AFC South. And with that being said, Detroit Lions is going to be another team that's going to be pretty formidable. We played them in the preseason last year, did pretty well. Good comeback from behind win. I think we played them in the regular season. I can't remember. I don't think we did, but nevertheless, we should be able to play them very well. The team has improved a lot. The Detroit Lions have done a very good job of improving. So with Jared Goff at quarterback, and it's going to be interesting. I mean, they did draft another quarterback, but I can't remember. There's so many teams that I can't remember off the top of my head. But Detroit looks like they're going to be pretty decent. So with that being said, they're going to be it's going to be a really good matchup going into Detroit. Now, the next game is going to be against the Jacksonville Jaguars, another up and coming team. Trevor Lawrence has turned the corner, and from his rookie year, he has turned into a pretty good team. And they have turned into a pretty good team. Made the playoffs last year. We will be playing them in London. So after the Detroit game, we're shooting off right to the to Wembley Stadium. So that's going to be a pretty cool game to see the Falcons playing in London. So that's going to be an early morning game at 9:30 on October 1st. So not much to say for the Jacksonville game, just to know that they are a pretty formidable team. Made the playoffs last year. So, and the Detroit Lions also was like one game away of making the playoffs. So they're like a pretty, respectable schedule so far. Now, when you look at this schedule here, the next two games, we're going up against the Houston Texans and the Washington Commanders. Now, the Houston Texans have CJ Stroud. I'm not sure if he'll be the starter. Probably by week 5 he will be. I don't know too much about Davis Mills. I haven't watched him play much, but every time I hear about him, he's serviceable. But CJ Stroud is going to be the quarterback of that franchise. And you got Will Anderson on the other side, and the rest of that team is okay. But I don't see them giving the Falcons too much of a problem. But like I said, this is the NFL. You never know. But right now on paper, that's what it looks like. They're coming in a Mercedes-Benz. And looks like a pretty good matchup for the Falcons. And the week after that, the Washington Commanders come down to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Now, last year we played against the Washington Commanders. You saw what happened with Marcus Mariota throwing the ball gets tipped, interception near the 4 to 5 yard line, or something like that. Really was devastating. One of the losses that, that could have turned the tide of the team as far as making it to the playoffs. But nevertheless, that is over and done with. Desmond Ridder's the quarterback. I don't know who the Washington Commanders quarterback is. I think it's Sam Howell. I don't know how serviceable he is. I know they still have a pretty good defense. So when it comes to the Washington Commanders, it's going to be a really interesting game on that front, because the Falcons are probably going to be looking for some revenge after that game that happened last year. And the Washington Commanders, who knows what they'll be at week 6. I mean, I know DJ81, a former co-host of the show, he would know much more about the Commanders than I do. But for the most part, he, I want to know what his thoughts on the quarterback situation in Washington, because I know they was talking about something about Andrew Luck was supposed to be in talks with them, or some tampering or whatever. I don't know. It's weird. I don't see Andrew Luck coming back. That dude was just way too injured. Extremely talented, but way too injured. So I don't see how that would that fare out. So really interesting on that part. All right, the next two games after that, we got Tampa Bay and Tennessee. Tampa Bay, that's our first game that we're going to be playing against them week 7, going down to Raymond James Stadium. We will get to see either Kyle Trask or Baker Mayfield at quarterback. The rest of the team, we talked about them on a earlier episode this week. Don't see much there to make us like really be worried. The things can happen. Now we're talking about the middle of the season. It could be a totally different look for both teams by that time. But this is who we're dealing with. We're going to be playing against Tampa Bay at Raymond James. And after that, right behind that, we're going to be playing the Tennessee Titans, which Will Levis or Tannehill could be the quarterback at that time. The rest of that team, I don't know what they're doing with their team per se. Derrick Henry is still on the team, but I don't see anything else on that team that will be, what it is. I mean, like I said, it's the middle of the season. You don't know what it's going to be, but just on paper, we just, you kind of got a feel of what the team looks like, but it could be totally different. So Tampa Bay and Tennessee after that. Minnesota and Arizona, the next two games, week 9 and week 10. All right, so let's look at this here. Minnesota, I don't know what to expect out of this team. I think, one thing for certain, I would hope so, that my former Georgia Southern Eagles, Najee Thompson and Anthony Beck, hopefully both of those guys are on a team at this time. That will be awesome. and that would be cool. But I don't want them to beat the Falcons. So, but with that being said, they will be coming to Georgia to the Atlanta Falcons home Mercedes-Benz Stadium to play against us. We got oh goodness, what's their quarterback name? Who cares? Just that quick, I just forgot his name. But I don't see anything there for the Minnesota Vikings that would be a threat. But yeah, it is what it is. Then we played Arizona Cardinals. Kyler Murray, will he be healthy? Don't know, but Arizona do have some talent. They have a lot of talent on that team, so who knows what may happen there. The main thing is can Kyler Murray, throw the ball around for them? Outside of that, we should be okay, because I think we ended up beating them last season, but that'd be pretty interesting to go to Arizona to play them. Week 11 is our bye, and then we play the New Orleans Saints at Mercedes-Benz, and then we play Aaron Rodgers at the MetLife Stadium, the New York Jets. So that's pretty interesting as well. New Orleans Saints, we talked about them in the last episode. I don't see much there as far as a threat. They always play us tough, and good thing we do get to play them at home first. So that's pretty awesome. Hopefully we don't make the mistake like we did last time and give up the lead, and we were beaten by a pretty significant amount. But you know how it is. It's a running joke with the Falcons. They always talk about us losing games at the end of the fourth quarter after having a big lead. You know how that is. So the Saints, we played them, and then we played New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers, we're going up there. This is the first game I can honestly say that may be pretty tough. And I know we're going to be playing the Lions. We're going to be playing the Packers. What was the other game I said that might be a little tough? I can't remember. We're going to go back over the schedule once I finish through this. But this may be a tough game for us, playing the Jets. I mean, Aaron Rodgers may be in stride and playing good football, and the Jets may be rolling. So going to MetLife Stadium, I think that's going to be it's really going to be like the first real hostile territory that we're going in. So that's going to be really, really interesting to see. Now, when you go to week 14 and week 15, going to Tampa Bay is coming to, they're coming to Mercedes-Benz Stadium to play us. So Tampa Bay is going to be playing us again. Then we got the Carolina Panthers once again. We're going to Charlotte at Bank of America Stadium and play the Panthers. Already discussed what we talked about there, and those teams could be different by week 14 and week 15. And week 16 and 17 and 18, we'll go with the last three here. We're going to be playing Indianapolis Colts, which is another interesting game that we're going to be playing, because I can't remember the last time we really played the Colts. And then we're going to Chicago, so that's going to be a late game at Soldier Field. We're going to be playing against Justin Fields. I think this is going to be a really interesting game because a lot of people in the Atlanta area, where I live at now, I know a lot of fans really talk about Justin Fields or whatever. I want to see what he looks like against our defense. Will he be that improved? It'll be the end of the season by then, so we really would know if he's that much improved, or will our defense be as formidable as we said that what we thought they were going to be, and what's going to be. Do the Falcons offense continue to roll after all this time, or will they be sputtering out of place? We'll be looking for another quarterback. So that's going to be really interesting by week 17. We'll be in the playoff hunt. Good to see you. It'll be another thing to know. And last but not least, which will be could be the most hostile game. I did say the Jets, but this will probably be the most hostile game of the season. Playing New Orleans in New Orleans, last game of the season, could be the division on the line, because even though I don't think the Saints will be in the running for the division, that's what I'm thinking now, but you never know. They could be a team that could be right there vying for the position of winning the division. In this game, it could hang on this game. And going into New Orleans is going to be really, 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 really interesting. It's going to be really tough. Desmond Ridder already played against New Orleans Saints in New Orleans. So, yeah, they played New Orleans already. That was his first game that he started. So that's going to be, somewhat familiar territory, something that he's not going to forget, because that was the first game that he played. So that's going to be really cool. So let's go and give us a quick rundown of all the games. Once again, week 1, we're going to be playing the Carolina Panthers, Green Bay Packers, Detroit Lions, Jacksonville Jaguars. I I think these two games are going to be pretty tough. Detroit Lions and Jacksonville Jaguars, those are going to be tough games. Houston Texans, Washington Commanders, Tampa Bay, Tennessee, Minnesota, Arizona, New Orleans Saints at the New York Jets, which I think this is going to be a hostile territory game outside of these other two. Even though Detroit and the Jags do have a pretty decent fan base, one thing about it is the Jaguars, we're going to be playing them in London, so I don't see anything there. Detroit, they're going to be hyped about their team because of what happened last year. They did a lot of good things, and they're moving in the right direction. So that could be a tough game for us playing away, but I really feel like this New York Jets game is going to be the first hostile territory game that we play because we're going to be away, we're going to be in New York, and those guys are going to be hyped up about Aaron Rodgers, and especially if Aaron Rodgers play well by week 13, that's going to be a tough game. Then we're going to play Tampa Bay at Mercedes-Benz, Carolina at Bank of America, which could be a tough one as well. Indianapolis Colts, Chicago Bears, and the toughest game of the season, no doubt, going into the Caesar Superdome and playing the New Orleans Saints with possibly the division on the line. So that is the schedule. What do I think wins and losses? I can't say off the top of my head. I'm still probably thinking maybe 10-7, between 10-7 and 12-5. I feel like this team could do that. If we went 7-10 with the rosters that we had last year, with this new roster, I could say at least 7-10 to 12-5. Maybe down the road in another episode, I will break down each team and give you a very early assessment why I think they could easily, win that many games. We'll talk about that at a later time. But let me know what you guys think about this schedule. If you like this content, hit the like button, share this podcast, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I can be found on YouTube and Rumble, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple, and Google Podcasts. You already know what I think. I think this is a pretty decent schedule. It's a little bit easier than I thought it'd be. You got to understand, as far as the NFC goes, we don't have to face the Eagles. We're not facing the 49ers. We're not facing the Seattle Seahawks. We have a fairly easy schedule going down the pipe, I'll be honest with you. As far as AFC team, the NFC teams goes, we're going to go through the NFC to get to the playoffs. We have a fairly easy schedule. That's just how I feel as far as we don't have to play any of the top tier teams, So, like I said, the Seahawks, 49ers, Eagles, we're not touching those guys. But when it comes to the AFC, even in the AFC, guys, we're not really looking at anybody but the Jets. We're not facing the Chargers this go around. We're not playing the Chiefs. We're not playing. You see what I'm saying? We're not playing the Bills. We're not really playing anybody that's formidable. So you could make a case that we could go, 14-3. Yeah, I'm not even joking when you think about it. But we'll talk about all that at a later time. Let me know what you guys think. Once again, I'm going to get up out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I'm going to catch you guys on the next one. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Y'all take it easy. Oh, yeah. Find me on Twitter and the website, firstandframerates.com. Y'all take it easy and y'all be blessed. Peace.